You know, one of my 3 words for 2021 is options. And the way I talked about it was the fact that, you know, leadership is option management. Leadership is making sure you take away enough options that people don't run off and do the wrong things. And leadership is making sure you have enough options so that people don't feel back against the wall, like they have options to get through something. Well, now you've given me a new option, Kerry. I can do other interesting things on the Backpack Show.
We missed you, Michelle.
Michelle, we almost didn't even run the show. Let's just be open about that. Like, there was going to be no show because you're not here. How are we going to, we're doing it right.
The Backpack Show is all about getting insights into success from unusual places. And we're like, if Michelle's not here, we're just
how do we know if the place is unusual enough? Listen,
we have
day,
one of our very first repeat guests today.
Our very first, I think. I don't think we've had a full second serving of anybody.
You're right.
We've had little visits of other people.
That's right. You're exactly right.
Our first repeat guest, Casey Taylor. He was that good. He may be our first third. And
well, we discovered he had like a whole other career when we did the backstage portion after, where we were just chatting. And we didn't even get into it on the show. We talked all about Veva Sound, which we can talk about a little bit again. But he just had this whole other very interesting professional background that we didn't delve into at all. And I was like, we need to get into that. So
but first up, we are going to talk about dance and movement and grant writing
with Brianna Hairlson. So she is the owner of Breeze Dance Place, which is where you learn about dance. You can actually do it virtually or in person now. She's got all different types of dance classes, and she's a grant writing coach and consultant. So we'll talk about that as well.
Now, listen, if you're good people and you're here at the Backpack Show and you have just come here for one of the first times, or you're here all the time and I don't know it, if you don't say hi, I don't know. My mom and my dad are here. And, you know, they're always saying hello. Coach Woodard's here from Snowy, Maine, which is up the street from where I am in Snowy, Boston. Make sure you say hi. Put a comment in the comment section, or we'll think bad things about your children.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
I love looking at that when it goes by and being like, Ryan Priest was sweating in his car when we did that.
I look at a different one every time. Every time I pick up on a different one of our friends. Hey, Naz, good to see you. You are good people. Good people leave comments and say hi. And that you're bad people.
Some people know. A lot of people just want to come and see what's going on. They don't necessarily want to be called out in the comments. So
Brianna Hairlson wants to know that she has a following here.
Get her out here.
All right, I'll get her. Hang on. Brianna, thank you so much for coming on the show. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on. Good to see you all as well.
Oh,
I was looking at your face when we started the little Backpack Show intro, and I think that was the moment when you went, wait a minute. These people are it's like a real show. This is a thing. I think you realize what you got yourself into. Welcome so much to the show. We're so glad to have you. You run a dance place amongst other businesses.
Yes. Yep. We have a Breeze Dance Place, which is located in Maryville, Indiana. So we're kind of close to Chicago. And we teach a lot of different dance classes. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kerry.
Well, I was going to say, so you majored in business, minored in dance, and now you get to do both. But like, which do you consider yourself, a business person or a dancer, like in your heart of hearts?
Yeah, so I went to Howard University. Shout out to Kamala Harris. So yeah, I went there, and my mom actually was like the deciding factor. So she said, girl, you're not going to want to dance your whole life. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I was hurt when she said it because, of course, I loved dance as a kid growing up. But then I actually didn't get accepted into the dance major program at Howard. I was rejected. So, of course, I went into business and went into marketing. And then by my junior year, I re-auditioned and got in as a dance minor. So I love both. And I know that I'm supposed to marry both because a lot of artists that I've seen sometimes get taken advantage of because they don't have the business acumen. So I knew I was supposed to marry both and even train entrepreneurs on like how to start a successful business and still be creative because I use both sides of my brain equally.
Our pal Sir Mix-a-Lot said something very similar. He said that the experience that he had the first time being super successful with My Posse's on Broadway didn't in any way prepare him for all the things he had to do. And so, but thank goodness he was ready by the time Baby Got Back came out. that he was able to actually, he made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and then made it back again. So you're right. The business mix is super, super important. Oh, my stars, you. So listen, the question I have for you is that at this dance studio, you teach a variety of dance classes. You mentioned the new one that you put on. It turns out that some people, and I don't want to point any fingers, but some people during quarantine procreated. And so you came up with a class that might help people with a little extra dance partner on board to do something. How do you make a dance class for pregnant people?
Oh my God.
It's not that show. How do you make a dance class for pregnant
I'm
people?
still someone's kid, so hey, I'm
You
still
are.
a pregnant
Look
kid.
at this white hair. You're all kids now.
Yeah, but actually that's how the studio started. So I actually come from a background of IT. I was a consultant for IBM for about 4 years, and I was always teaching dance on the side. So working with youth, teaching, and basically that was my passion. So I was doing that for free, giving that away, and something pulled on me. So I actually enrolled in entrepreneurship school while I was still working at IBM, because I'm like, okay, something's got to give. So coming to find out in 2018, I actually turned down a position that was like full-time travel because my husband and me were newly married and he didn't want me to travel. And then I found out the next month that I was pregnant, and on Valentine's Day, actually. So I kept teaching dance on the side. And then maybe a couple of months later, I found out I was being laid off. So I rolled into full-time entrepreneurship really without a choice. So that was my the pregnancy and new mom dance classes were being sold out. And then I took it on a 7-city tour across the United States. We went to LA, Atlanta, DC, Maryland, Chicago, Indianapolis, and all of these were expectant moms. And then once we had our babies, we, kept in contact. So it's like building a mom tribe. And that was with my first son. I actually danced up until 4 days of giving birth to him. He came early because of all of my activity, but he was still healthy and everything. So that's how the studio actually got started, was with the pregnancy and new mom dance classes in 2018. And then by 2019, we actually opened the physical studio, starting as young as 2 years old to 18 years old, to line dancing classes. We were doing senior chair fitness before like COVID hit. Just trying to be a positive light in the community and offering dance for all ages, stages, and abilities.
That's interesting that you went on tour. So when you became an entrepreneur, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, I guess I'll get a studio here in town and whatever. You had this whole other approach to it when you took the classes to other cities. Why?
So I originally was doing just the pop-up classes. I tested it first in Indiana. I've never been I'm in Indiana. Like, who wants to just stay in Indiana? So I tested it first in Indiana to see if it was like a viable, project, and everybody was coming out every week in the month of like June for those dance classes. And I said, let me dream bigger. Like, it's so many more pregnant people other places. So that's when I decided to take it on tour. And I just wanted to build that community, because moms, especially in the African American community, you don't see people staying active before, during, or after pregnancy. It's just like a misnomer. They told me you shouldn't lift your hands above your head because the umbilical cord will get wrapped around the baby's neck. And I'm close to Gary, Indiana, which is like the steel mill. So it's just a sedentary lifestyle. Like the one thing that you can probably count on is people becoming obese living here, and it's just the norm. So I really just wanted to paint a different picture of someone staying active throughout their pregnancy. And I knew LA, they're health nuts over there, other people who actually would get it. So that's why I decided to take it across the country, and it was so many pregnant people other places too. So not just focus on India.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Those breeders are everywhere now. There's a lot to look at, and it's so fun to watch there's such a variety of dance. There's a lot of different styles. That's not a typical pregnant class right there. I'm guessing that you don't do that one.
I'm pregnant in that video.
Of course you are.
You want to see you see, that's the belly. But no, that is not a typical pregnant class, but because I have been dancing since the age of 7, I am a little bit more high energy, but I also modify the moves for those who are not as active. And we make sure you sign your, consent, because your doctor needs to sign off, because anything that you were doing prior to getting pregnant, you can continue to do, but they ask that you don't start new activities. So we are mindful of, who our audience is.
You have done other things and are doing other things, and to really put these things all together, if the way we did, we launched with talking about the dance studio, so people think that, but you mentioned you've been an IBM consultant. You're also doing a grant writing coaching business where you help people through grant writing. And I mentioned just briefly that I have a very tangential connection to that because of Rob Hatch, and he was saying that grant writing is really just another form of hell. It's like one of the layers. Talk a little bit about that, and what do people come to you needing from that experience?
Yeah. So actually, I started with my own business. So I started the business without having, savings. I was kind of forced into full-time entrepreneurship. It kind of blindsided me. So when I opened the dance studio, I actually personally funded like the build out on the dance studio on a personal credit card, just to get it going. And I knew I was supposed to do it. So in 2020, we were growing. We had gotten up to about 75 students at the dance studio, and then COVID hit. So we were only open for about 5 months before COVID hit. So it just was kind of like, oh my goodness, I know I'm supposed to do this, but now I'm dropped down from 75 students to like 34 students who ended with our recital. So I'm like, I have to find out how to bring in other streams of revenue. So we did e-learning, where we actually focused on, working with parents who were working parents, and they would drop their children off. So we did that. We started doing rentals for like small gatherings, but I'm like, no, we need more revenue than this. So starting with my own business, I use the same process that I used to graduate from Howard debt-free. So I just did research. So back in college, I researched scholarships, and I was able to get so many scholarships where I was actually being paid to attend Howard. I use that same process for my own business. So researching them out and applying. So in 2020, I received over $50,000 in grants, services, and fellowships for a Breeze Dance Place. So by December, everybody was asking what was the process. So I started hosting workshops on, the resources that I use. I created my own grant list to just provide. And it was primarily African-American, female, or minority entrepreneurs, because so many businesses had stepped up to just support us. I received $25,000 from American Express, and it's called the 100 for 100 program with I Fund Women. So just showing them how to use that platform to not only crowdfund, but to also apply to their grants. And then some people are just like, I don't want to touch this at all. I just want you to do it. So then that's when those services started coming in, because I actually enjoy applying to things. Like it's just a joy that shows me like I'm competitive in nature. So knowing that I also received like a $10,000 grant from NAACP and Beyonce's organization Be Good out of 17,000 applicants. I was the one who received that. Like that kind of fuels me. And it also makes life a little bit easier, because I was back behind in rent. My landlord was working with me because of COVID, because I still had those expenses piling up. But I went from, having my 75 students to it dropping. So it just really helped me. And I just wanted to see that same, thing for other businesses, because people just have gotten so, I guess, depressed during this season, like hit after hit after hit. So I just wanted to be that example that, hey, you can apply for grants. And it's not even, I know what your friend talks about, because those nonprofit grants are a different beast. Mm-hmm. But these grants have been like business grants for women. So they haven't been that tedious, in my opinion.
But still, dancing is more fun.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. But actually, I'm trying to get out of teaching in the classroom, because right now I'm 5 months pregnant and I'm still teaching maybe 4 classes a week, hip hop classes, boys, girls, and like a crew. And I'm trying to get out of the classroom so that I can just focus on my son that's coming and the operations of the studio. So, but dance is fun.
So a lot of people, as you pointed out, with the pandemic and there not being a lot to do, are now pregnant and maybe looking for some other way to get out of the house as well. So if you're pregnant and new to dance, can you do one of the mommy pregnancy dance
Yeah.
classes?
Yep. So it's
Or
called
do-
Breeze Bump and Dance. And we actually offer it for new and expectant and new moms. So it's another video somewhere out there on YouTube where my son is actually strapped to me in his carrier. And that is the best way for them to take a nap after class. So we do that, the mommy and me classes. Like it's just more so of a line dance class and the expectant mom. We have a class coming up this Saturday. At 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that is virtual and in person. So if they want to hop on, they can register at breezedanceplace.com and take that class with us, and we'll be sure to take it easy on them. But they'll meet other moms. I think I have my sister's pregnant, so she's doing April. I'm doing May. My best friend's doing July. My cousin's doing May. I'll tell you, we got it in during the pandemic.
I guess so.
There
Maybe a
is going to
full
be a big pile of aunties out in the world again all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
I like Just Push It, by the way. See?
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of our signature songs. We try to use music that, relates to the mommy experience. So we do the wobble because you're wobbling a lot. We do Just Push It. It's a video on there for Walk It Out because you want to walk that baby on out. So
I think that's so smart. See, I shouldn't have gone with Shoop. I should have gone with Push It. You would have been right there faster.
Yep.
The good old days. A lot of people really resonating with this. Kira's here. I haven't seen Kira on the show in a bit, so good to see you, Kira, and Wu-Tang Buddy. And Women's Leadership Live, our friend Deb down in Texas. So
You have a lot of fans now.
Yep, you have Naz over in Milan. So Kira said your story reminds her a bit of hers. So
we'll
it's
have
always
to
nice when you
connect.
get that. So at Wu-Tang Bunny on the tweeters if you go over there.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm trying to think. I had one other question I had for you and it just left my head. Integrating these various parts of you. These are all so many different parts, and a mom and a wife and a person of faith. What gives when you are you so much stress, so much pressure, all this stuff's on you. Forget it. I got to let go of something for a minute. What do you let go of?
Cooking.
Mm.
I've never been the best cook, and my husband will, because he's a full-time entrepreneur as well. So he's a photographer, and not by choice. We both were laid off. He was laid off twice from the steel mills, and I was laid off from IBM. And we were talking about this, being married and having a balance of being a parent and an entrepreneur. And that is one area that I've always haven't been the best at. He knew. He told me he knew when we were dating and I tried to make him some boiled chicken and something else. And he was like, I don't know what, but I like this girl, so I guess I'll deal with it. With my lack of cooking skills, because I came from being a consultant for IBM. So I would travel Sunday through Thursday. I'm not going to buy groceries. They're going to be spoiled by the time I get back home. So that was the reason. So cooking falls off a little bit. Cleaning, just my personality as being a creative. I can be messy sometimes. Yesterday, I took the whole day to just clean my house, and it literally took the whole day. So those things may fall off. But what does sustain me is definitely my prayer life. Like my mom taught me to just talk to God to get through. My shirt says Jesus, faith, and dance, because that's the only thing that's got me through. I talk about my mom so much because the time that I decided to actually go and start the dance studio, I was about to quit and walk away from dance because it just got overwhelming. At that point, I guess nobody was really coming to the pregnancy dance classes. So I was like, what do I do next? So I was going to walk away. And I went to a conference in California, and everybody was like, no, like, this is what you're supposed to do. It was just confirmation that I was supposed to start the studio. I come back September 4th, sign the lease for the studio. My mom, who's my best friend, has a stroke on September 17th, and it's out of the blue. And then she's in the hospital, in rehab. So I'm with her 12 hours a day while doing the build out on the studio. And then even after that, she doesn't get better. So I'm now in full studio mode. We've just opened the studio. I can't decide to, quit. She ends up passing away December 11th.
No.
I still have to, do the Christmas performance for the kids. This is my first, big thing. But I get through because of the joy of the children, because of what she's taught me as far as faith and prayer and grace. We get a Christmas, have them have their Christmas performance. And really, like, I started doing like joy workshops to tell people that even in the midst of grief, you can still have joy. It's all about perspective, because my mom gave me everything on this earth that she could. She was supposed to be the person, she worked in like the school system. So she automatically was going to be the person who was my front desk person, my parent liaison. But even God had somebody where her best friend, the day that I called her, she had just got laid off from her job. So she was able to step in and be that person. So it's like, those are the things that ground me, even though cooking may fall off, cleaning may fall off, communication sometimes with my husband may be hit or miss, just depending on our schedules. Like prayer, faith, and what my mom taught me as far as like the love for people, that people see your work ethic, they see your excellence, they'll keep coming back. And even that helped me, because when COVID hit, it's like, well, what the heck? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and now COVID hits. So that's just really just rooted me and grounded me. And I can now like tell people about my mom, and it's not from a place of hurt or anger. It's from a place of like love that she had for me, and I can share that with my students. And that's just like what is fueling the studio. And then even I wrote a book that she never got to read. She never got to walk through the studio. It's called Dance Through the Storms, 22 Faith-Filled Reflections to Maintain Your Joy. And I'm so happy I did it, because it talks about her and it pays homage to just everything that she taught me about how to keep on going. She really prepared us to know that, okay, she's fine. Like, she's living her best life now. Like, you have to go on and live your life and be a light to others. So that keeps me grounded during this season, like, because so many people have experienced grief. I'm not the only one. I'm not exempt, and I can empathize with others, during this season.
You just sort of threw that. I also wrote a book in there.
Also that.
Right,
so
right
you and your
there,
husband don't get a lot of time together, but it's quality time, apparently.
You are so extra. I bet you've never heard that in your life. Oh,
every day. My husband, my mom used to tell my husband, like, are you sure you're ready for her? Are you sure you're ready for, and I think he says it too, but he's happy because he used to shoot his photography sessions in our house prior to the pandemic. And at first he wasn't okay with me like opening the studio, just because it was, it was a stretch. Like, we were laid off and I'm dreaming big. And he's like, you need to go get a job, girl. This is, you came from IBM, go make some money. But because I opened the studio, now he has a place to do his photography, and his business is taking off. He's thrived during the pandemic. So he'll be okay.
He changed his mind, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Brianna Hairlson, there's so much more to this story, and I think people are going to have to just come and follow you, go to your website, get the book, go collect. There's so much more. Thank you so much for coming here and being there. Listen, I did forget to tell you one thing. Stick around. We do a little panel at the end. I ask you some questions at the end, so you can go and get a drink and stuff like that, but stick around if you can backstage, and we'll bring you back after we talk to our...
I'll be
Just
here.
remember, we can see you back there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll talk to you real soon. Thank you. Wow.
Extra is a good thing.
Listen, don't go away. Casey Taylor's coming on, and oh my gosh, we're going to laugh. We're going to laugh like big fools.
Your Twitter, Brianna.
Oh, she didn't use Twitter all that much. You should get
Instagram.
over to the Instagram. She's Brianna Hairlson on Instagram. Go get her there. More fun. Visual person. Very visual. Can't wait to reshare this backpack episode, says Annette. That's a flattering thing to say. This was... Whew. My dad was VP of IBM in Venezuela years ago, says Naz.
That's the kind of thing you say about your grandmother at the end of the show.
Yeah, and it's a lie usually. My grandma worked in a paper mill. So so sorry that we have a Zoom. Oh, see you, Deb. Thanks so much for kicking in.
I mean, you can't schedule around the...
Yeah, come on. Doesn't the world know we have a show? All right. Let's do some things. So, Brianna's so busy that like she can't go and promote that book all by herself. You could have a site just like PubSite, make your own. So authors can come to PubSite, not just any old schlub. You can't come on there if you're a photographer. Tell your husband, get out, Brianna. Pub-site.com is for authors. You come over there.
He could do a coffee table book.
He could write a book. He could write a book saying what the mills taught me.
No, with his photographs.
Oh, yeah, that old thing.
Pub-site.com has everything you need to promote yourself, your book, your appearances back when they're allowed again, your social channels, everything you need as an author. It's super, super easy to use and customizable. There's a 14-day free trial, and after that, it's just $19.99 a month. So go check it out, pub-site.com.
Hi, Kathy, by the way. Listen, if you want to make a show like this and lure in unsuspecting people like Brianna Hairlson, you've got to have a place to run a show. So you got to do something like this on StreamYard. Brogan.me/StreamYard. Make your own show. You're not going to believe the kind of guests you could get if you're lucky enough to get a Brianna
Casey
Hairlson.
needs his own show. He really does.
The Casey Taylor show, I would tune in for that every day of the week.
Me too.
He's a man made for video, isn't he?
Everyone's excited. Look, yay!
Hey, Kathy, listen to this. Are you hungry? Is your belly rattling? Did you not get your breakfast yet? Did you forget some breakfast? Are you thinking about food right now? How about sausage? Johnsonville sausage. Johnsonville sponsors this show because my big fat belly ate some of it during quarantine, and I begged them to be a sponsor. So they gave us a bag of money, and instead of keeping it like I'd like to do because I'm greedy, we used it to buy a bunch of sausages. So we sent sausages to nuns. We sent sausages to people's parents. We sent
like that. It sounds so weird.
It really is. We sent it to a weird guy down in Kentucky. Very weird guy. We sent it to around St. Louis. Those sausages have traveled the world. We've even put them in other states, I think, other countries. Do we go to Canada?
No.
They might be
Not yet, I don't think.
So Kerry at chrisbrogan.com, get some sausages. There you go. That's the longest ad read I've ever done in weeks.
You need Casey.
We got to bring a Casey Taylor on because otherwise things go crazy. Just a warning to people at home. He's dressed very colorfully today. It's a very colorful set. Hey, Casey.
Hi. First of all, I have two problems. Number one, you keep booking me behind extraordinary people. Like if you could just put me on behind a boring, stupid person, that'd be great. And number two,
number three,
you keep telling everybody I'm so funny, but Jerry Seinfeld says the worst thing you can do to a funny person is tell people they're funny.
Yep. That's why I did it.
Thank you.
But people on the show know that I lie, Casey, so they're not expecting anything.
Great.
Built into the name, liar.
I send sausages to Italy.
That's like having the White Stripes. The Rolling Stones open for the White Stripes. You can't do that. Casey, like we said, we intimated that there's sometimes a little banter that happens backstage, and then sometimes it takes on a life of its own. So much so that I wish sometimes we could just turn on the show again. But we can't. That button doesn't exist at StreamYard. But you showed up and we were laughing our heads off so bad that we made our other grown-up guests leave because we were talking all about your early life, starting with your extraness
for like 30 minutes. Don't make it sound like he immediately left. Like he hung in there for like 30 minutes.
He was there for it. He was there.
This is interesting.
And then he had to go do important things.
Like actual
sat around.
Other thing. Kwame Christian is an attorney, so he had like some non-movable appointments.
To do some real grown up thing for a minute. By the way, Deb says, can we send her some sausage? Yeah, Kerry at chrisbrogan.com. Yep. We make that offer every day, but Deb usually slides in at some weird time when we haven't made the offer. Casey, what got us laughing is you were telling us about your life as a cameraman filming way back in the day. And there's some things you can and can't talk about. So why don't we let you start to frame the story so we know how we can say the words back to you? How's that?
Yeah, well, I think probably it begins my first day of junior high. And we roll up to Union Academy Magnet Middle School of Math and Technology in Bartow, Florida. And my dad's 1976 Ford F-100 that has holes in the floor and a fiberglass seat cover. And I'm getting ready to slide off the vinyl bench seat onto the car ramp for my first day of junior high. And my dad says, Casey? And I say, yeah, Dad? He said, I want you to remember one thing. If you're not cool, don't try to be. I said, okay, Dad. And I hopped out of the truck with my little rolling backpack and click, 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 click down the sidewalk. I went into junior high. And so I think that was the beginning of a mentality, which is I can't be anything that I can't control what you think about me. I can't control if you think I'm a cool person. I can't control how I look, how I sound. You know, I was an awkward, morbidly obese junior high student with a rolling backpack, and there's only so much you can do to work with that. And so that was probably the launch into a mindset. And then I got a job in junior high working on a local television program as a grip. So I would carry the cable behind the handheld camera guy. And one day he fell ill, and it was a very well-oiled machine, this TV show. And so they're like, you do it, Casey, you grab the camera. So I'm like, okay. And what I didn't know was happening was the director, we're wearing headsets and stuff. The director was telling me to go get shots that I didn't know I didn't know what was going on. I just did what the director said. And evidently back in the control room, it was a game to see what they could get me to do.
I love that game.
And so I developed this reputation, unbeknownst to me, as being a camera guy who would do whatever you told him to do. And because I'm 12 and I'm chubby, I'm sturdy, like I can hold this. It was a 55-pound Ikegami broadcast camera, and I could hold it. And, and so we started doing, like, for instance, you'd shoot live things for IMAG where they put the big screens in the arena and stuff like that. So I'd get hired to come run handheld camera because I would climb up on the drum cage behind the drummer and hold the camera over his head and twist it slowly. And so if you were at the show,
a smartphone, this is a big camera.
No, this is a huge camera. And so if you were there live, you would see this chubby 13-year-old boy standing up on a drum throne, just with a big headset and a big camera, just like pivoting behind the drums, getting this shot. And then they'd say, okay, go to the lead singer. And I'd be right there in front of the lead singer. And it took me years to look back and go, oh, okay, I was kind of a mockery, but we ended up winning some awards for the quality of our broadcast because we would do things that other people had too much shame to do. I didn't care. I could get up on, nobody thought I was cool. Why do I care about these 10,000 strangers? So it was really kind of the beginning of a philosophy which has served me pretty well, which is when you release yourself from the expectation of looking cool, you'll find yourself in some really cool positions. And go ahead.
I'm cutting in because I want to say that people don't know this, but Casey had a very early career doing this. I mean, before there were GoPro cameras, you might remember the band Motley Crue had that song Wild Side where Tommy Lee had that rolling drum cage in the air. That's Casey hanging off that drum cage right now. That's not actually a bunch of stationary cameras. He's hanging off that while Tommy Lee is doing that drumming for Wild Side. So when Tommy starts flipping upside down while drumming, that's Casey, and he's holding on because he has a lot of gaffer's tape affixed to him. So you should know that this is important times.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah. And technology, back then, if you had a jib crane, you were like a top level production. And if you had a dolly, that was like really kind of reserved for film or like really high level. And dolly is a little cart that goes down a track so you can do a trailing shot and stuff like that. Other than that, it was just people doing things. So if you were strong enough and skilled enough to hold a camera with one hand up in the air and do some sort of move with it, I mean, you didn't have, cameras, like I said, they weighed 55 pounds plus a lens. You didn't have GoPros, you didn't have little things. So, I just ended up, in my black polo shirt, my black cargo pants, just kind of traipsing my way in. And that kind of parlayed into people perceiving me to have an eye for these things. And so then I started directing. So by 15, I was directing my own show.
So this goes on, like, including your high school career and all this. We're working our way into it. But like, you were so extra back then, and people couldn't figure out how you were getting your money. And they didn't exactly figure the most common guesses. They didn't figure you were like scooping ice cream somewhere. Can you talk a little bit about the perception of Casey Taylor and what went on during the process? Did we lose Casey Taylor?
Oh, no, I hope not. He's got a very good freezy face.
He's got a perfect freeze.
That's a really good one.
Wow, let's just sit here and look at that. I wonder, can I make it zoom? Hang on.
Stop
Casey
it.
Taylor, waiting intently.
He just needs to refresh his screen.
I think we should just sit here and watch it. Oh, no.
We need to talk, so let's put him back for a minute and maybe he'll figure it out.
Fine.
But here's what I love about that is the fact that he's in junior high. He's, whatever, not cool according to his own estimation. And then all of a sudden, like, he's doing really well. He's really got this glamorous side gig and nobody knows what it is. He just, gets a car and stuff. Like, nobody can figure it out. And I love that so much, to think about him just kind of sidestepping the whole like social stratosphere.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be cool the way
and like opting out. Yeah.
So
we're gonna put him back. He'll be back.
Yeah, Casey Taylor will be back. In the meantime, I noticed a little backstage action in the Hairlson house. So
oh no.
I wonder if I can pull on a special guest appearance.
Coach Woodard, I worked at a bakery, so I hear you. From when I was 13 till I was about 24, I worked at a bakery every summer.
My high school girlfriend Diane worked at ice cream, and one thing you don't know about scooping ice cream is you think it sounds amazing because all that ice cream, but what you really get is an incredible smell. Casey Taylor, we want to say that you had one of the best freeze faces we've ever had.
Did.
On the show.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh, well, then
no.
that's fine, because watch this. I'm putting him backstage, because watch this live from Brianna Hairlson's house.
Say
We have a little man.
Hello.
Say hi. Can you say hi, Paul? Say hi.
Hi. What you doing over there? Hey, we'll put up a giant 2-year-old man any day of the week. Hi, big man.
Say I'm eating. You want some cheese?
Wait, that's my cheese.
No, that's Paul's cheese. That's Paul's cheese.
He's pretty into this now. He's like, wait a minute here. I'm on screen.
Those dimples. Oh my gosh.
All right, we get Casey back. He may or may not be hearing. Let's try it. Brianna, thank you. I had to pull you up. I have warned people ever since we launched this show that I will pull you up at a moment's notice, and that's what we do. Can you hear us now?
Yes. I lost power,
Oh.
and my UPS failed. So they'll be getting a strongly worded email from me later today.
Well, I guess it's an
I doubt it.
now,
You're
isn't
very
it?
polite. You're very polite.
Yes.
So we
you
were
also-
just sliding into high school.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just at the point where this had like radically changed your position in kind of the social structure.
Well,
of junior
the
high.
thing is though, nobody at school knew what was going on in my life. Like nobody knew that this was happening. And so when I turned 16, I go buy a black Mercedes and people are like, what? And they just assumed that my parents were wealthy, and they're not. And so I get into high school. Nobody knows like what I'm doing in the nights and weekends. In fact, one time I remember like getting back from a job at like 5 a.m. on a Monday, showering and going to school. So it was like, I was kind of almost living two lives, because I was this nerdy guy. I was the president of the Future Business Leaders of America at Bartow High School, and obviously in the television production program. The irony being that I was in a high school TV program, like reporting to. We had this hierarchy of like seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. So like I was reporting to these seniors in my high school, and they were telling me what to do and how to do things. And I'd make a suggestion and they're like, no, we're going to do it this way. And I'm like, okay, tight. And then I'd leave and go, bill out at $100 an hour to, so yeah, what we ended up winning some unconsequential awards for that show. And, other people started taking notice of what we were doing, and, would call our executive producer and say, whoever is running your show, why is your show so good? And whoever's responsible for it, can they come train our people? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go. So I would roll up 15, 16 years old, and they're like, are you kidding me? And I'd be in this room of 40, 50-year-old white men. And I'm like, all right, step one. And we would go through this little training program that I had. And I couldn't drive. I couldn't rent a car at this time. So, I had to hire a guy to
Did you
take
pull up
me.
in your Schwinn 10 speed?
No, I would have to hire a guy to take me to these gigs. So I had like a driver, not because I was bougie, but because I couldn't drive myself. And so that's kind of how it. And then
By the way, this just in, we have some footage from your news show. This is Casey Taylor's news show. It was Midtown High, not Bardo, like previously reported. We got that fact wrong, but
Yeah.
it's the Midtown Technical High School news
That's,
show. And
that's the kind of stuff we were doing. And actually, here's the story. I remember we had this like TV studio at the high school, and we had editing bays and producer rooms and stuff like that. And you could come in after school for extra credit to like log footage or put together a package or something like that. And I went in after school one day to work on a project that I was doing, and I kind of came around the corner, and my teacher was in the editing bay with a kid who was older than me and was pissed that I was taking something in my own direction and things like that. And by this point, I had joined what they called OJT, which is you could swap your elective hours to go work a job. So I could leave school instead of taking, shop, I could go work. And a lot of kids did that to go, work in at the local office, but I had my own company. So I came around the corner and my teacher was telling this kid, don't worry about Casey. He's an OJT. He's not going to college. Like, he's dead end. You just keep focused. Don't worry about him, whatever. And it really hurt my feelings at the time. And because I wasn't really concerned with looking cool to a degree. I mean, every teenager has, whatever, but I could have rushed in there, I guess, and been like, you don't know what I've got going on. And blah, blah,
you don't know me.
But also I didn't know what I had going on. To me, it was just like people were saying like, hey, can you come? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come show you. But I didn't fathom kind of what this platform was that I was building. And so that kind of led to this philosophy of, if you just keep your head down and get good at what you do, and you're eloquent and you're kind and you're polite, the universe has a way of placing you into opportunities that you couldn't strive for on your own. And I forget who said it, but I read on the internet that somebody said it, if you fake it till you make it, the only people you'll fool are other fakers. And so I just kind of tried never to fake it and just kind of be who I am and do what I do, and that be that.
I think that was Caillou. That was his quote.
May he rest in peace.
I know. I knew you would know that. How do I know this? I knew you would know that. All right. So my dad points out, by the way, that your version of being upset is great. Oh dear, darn it, no power.
And Coach Woodard says Revenge of the High School Nerds. In case you haven't noticed, this whole show is like Revenge of the High School Nerds.
High School Nerds, which is a great transition to bring back Brianna.
Brianna. No, Brianna was always cool. Now we have the exception that proves the rule.
I was a little nerdy.
I was a nerd.
She was a 7-year-old dancer. I mean,
my mom worked in the school system. So, I mean, I wasn't nerdy, but I don't know if I had special privileges. But she followed me from second grade to high school. So maybe I was a little nerdy. I don't know. I didn't care.
So that's something you two have in common, is that you didn't care about looking cool.
That, and I know that Casey can really dance. He can move. You have been to some office parties where people go, oh, Casey can dance.
Not so much office parties, but Catholic wedding receptions. Yes.
When they start boogie woogie woogieing and
that electric slide comes on, I've got 2 flutes of champagne in me. I'm like, hey. Dun, 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 ho!
Right. Now, listen.
One time.
That's not the kind of behavior we appreciate at Viva Collect. You keep it together, Casey Taylor.
My bad.
Weddings ruining family pictures for years. All right. One other question for the both of you. There's people who are watching this show that have kids, and their kids are trying to figure out who they want to be when they grow up. And they're thinking you have to start with plan B, which is ironic because if there was plan B, then there wouldn't be all those kids. But no, you have to start with plan B. Kerry, I'm giving you the perfect example for your new uploads.
No, I just can't.
The whole idea.
Uh-oh, here comes the yellow card. And this one has Gorgone's name on it. And Chris is very, very happy about that.
I yellow carded myself.
Yellow card yourself for that one. All right. My real question is that there's a lot of people who are going to see this maybe who are told, you got to just do the straight and narrow thing and then, figure it out. And that's Brianna, that's how you started. You started a very traditional life, even though you were danced, then you were maybe not danced. And you're like, I don't know. You finish Howard, you do all the grown up things you got to do. And then you go work at IBM. If you had it over again, would you work at IBM again? And I guess the question I'll swing to Casey the other way is, how do you tell someone that they could be a crazy weirdo camera person at a very young age and all that? Like, what do you do to make you? I want to make some more yous. Start with Brianna.
Yeah, I definitely will work at IBM again because I tried the nonprofit route. I took an internship at Wolf Trap, which is the only national park for the performing arts in Vienna, Virginia, and it just didn't pay for the lifestyle that I intended after I graduated college. Like, I spent all this time in college and I want to live a certain lifestyle. And then I did an internship with Oracle. And then that was the flip side. Like, it was very, you make good money. Even as an intern, they provided corporate housing and a rental car. You could work from home. So that exposed me to actually the business side, and everything that I learned as a consultant, I use as an entrepreneur. So I think it's all, I say in anyone's life, is not for naught. Like, you have these different experiences, and it's all making you who you are. Because even when I graduated from Howard, I moved back home to Indiana, and I worked as a substitute teacher first for about 6 months before being hired by IBM, making $8 an hour, cleaning up, throw up, working with kids. But that showed me, that I love children. I worked with children from 2 to 18. So everything that I did there is what I'm doing now. So every life situation, whether it's good or bad, is going to help you to see what you're good at, what you thrive in, what you like. And it's fine. It's good. IBM, working with kids, it all helps for what I'm doing now.
Did you ever think some of those kids were billing out at like $100 an hour?
No.
Our man Casey did. Oh, Linda, thanks for sticking around as long as you did. I'm sorry about your phone call. I wish I could have helped you with your schedule. I would have made it a little different. Thank you for coming by.
So Casey, how do
what
we
you
make
think?
more U's? How do we make more Caseys?
Well, you got to credit my parents, right? Because like I couldn't do anything legitimately. And my parents made a decision early on. Everybody kept telling them, let him be a kid, let him be a kid, let him be a kid. And I'm going like, I'm getting jobs, I'm getting hired, I want to go do these things. And my parents made a decision very early on that we're just going to let him be. So whatever he can be, whatever he wants to be, we're going to let him be that. So, I mean, let's be honest, not every 12-year-old aspires to go monetize a skill or to become really good at a specific thing.
I mean, I wouldn't have said no, Casey, but like I didn't have any skills.
Right. And so like my parents, they had a lot of friends and a lot of people. There were a lot of people in my realm who would contact my parents and be like, you got to get this kid under control. And they're like, no, he is what he is. He's going to do what he's going to do. And by the way, he's a lot more respectful than all of you clowns. So just, we're going to let him be. And if he fails, he fails. That'll be a great lesson. If he succeeds, well, then hell yeah, he succeeded. And so that kind of, you got to credit my parents for that, because it could have easily turned into, no, that's something that you'll be able to do later. So you can stay interested in it, maybe get an apprenticeship or an internship. And they just let me go full bore. And so you couple that with a genuine interest in something and the ability to be good at something. And I think anything you learn, to Brianna's point, anything you learn at 7, 8, 9, 10, I got my first video camera when I was 7. And anything you learn that early becomes muscle memory. And you're going to be the best of the world if you start that early. So by the time you're 12, 13, you've got 6, 7 years of reps in on this skill. You break into the market, your body, my body at that point in my life only knew how to do 3 things: eat, sleep, and carry a camera. So I think letting your kids, if they're really good at something, if they show genuine interest in something, let them have that interest. And, you can monetize video games at this point. If they're really good at video games, let them do it. And so I'm not going to say that every 12-year-old would be capable to hold their own in a room of 40, 50-year-old white men. I don't know how I was able to do it. I couldn't explain to you why I could do it. It's a fluke.
You were like the miniature version, Casey.
Yeah. I was in a double-breasted suit with 100 extra pounds on me. So, but I think the key takeaway for me, from my parents, were just let him be. Let him do whatever he's going to do.
It's a biggie. All right, we've come to this part of the show. I didn't know it was going to get here so fast, but here we are.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
And I know she's gone and moved on, but I'm going to give it to Kira Moore, who stopped by Wu-Tang Bunny, because she was really, really full of the energy back in the earlier part of the show. So, Kira, you're probably not still here, but just so you know, you won yourself a free apple. All you got to do is go to the store and buy it and clean it up. Carrie, make sure you wash it. She always makes sure I tell people that. And there you go. So listen, we have one last thing, and this is a question we ask every single guest. Casey's going to get a chance to double dip, the first person to put 2 things in the backpack. The question is, what goes in your backpack? Now, this backpack's metaphorical, so it can hold metaphors like dreams or hopes or faith or whatever, or it can hold something really physical. Kerry, what's a good favorite physical one?
Extra set of teeth.
DJ Cumberbund said an extra set of teeth out of the blue, as if he had thought about this his whole life. You know, if I had a backpack, I'd put an extra set of teeth in it. My favorite is Saida Trujillo. I got to get a new favorite, but she said an avocado. And then the things that are more metaphorical. Kerry, what do you got?
Horacio Garcia Rojas said pride, like national pride and where he comes from Mexico City. So as an actor, that's part of his identity, even on the global stage. I like that.
I think fear is a really good one to put in the backpack. Just feel scared. All right.
And I like that the Oral Nuts took something out of the backpack. They said you got to take ego out of the backpack to work on creative projects.
Why they got to be so smart?
Oh,
like
that's
that?
good.
Right?
Oh, man. I want that one.
I know. I have backpack envy every day. All right, Brianna, Hairlson, add to it. What should we put in that backpack?
For me, deodorant. That's very important.
Deodorant. Yes.
Dancing is a sweaty business.
Yes, and I'm on that natural deodorant tip, so you got to have extra just in case. And then I would say tenacity. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just having tenacity.
That is a good one. Casey Taylor, first double dip in the history of the show. What do you got?
The first one was mindfulness, but I was a little forlorn. And now we're a few weeks into the new year. So I'm going to go with identity. I think you never really know who you are, but I think you should be carrying identity around with you and always try to remind yourself. If you're a fat, nerdy kid with a camera, be that. If you're a really smart guy, be that. If you're a brilliant dancer, be that. And be true to that. And being true to that is really what's going to take you to places. You know, Brianna being true to who she is and her experiences and true to the calling she felt on her life by God is what has landed her where she is. And if she had tried to, I think if Brianna had tried to continue up the corporate ladder, move from IBM to whoever and done that, sure, she probably had a great career making plenty of money, but she wouldn't be as exceptional and we wouldn't be talking to her today. And so I think by being who you are, I know it's cliche, but it's the only thing that has served me well.
Like it. I'll take it for darn sure. I think it was the business coach, Mathers, I think his name was, that said, Dre, I demand that you remember who you are. And I think that's, right there. In his seminal work, I Need a Doctor. So my grandmother was the big fat kid growing up when she was little, and she didn't take that super far. But I most definitely think that she would have appreciated a pregnant people dance class. I think she would have gone there to cheer people on for that one. So I think it's a big win. One thing she always said, she had like a remedy for pregnancy though. She was like, I know one way to get it to go really fast.
Wherever you